I think everyone can see the screen. So yeah, thank you for having us here. It's great to be here at the demo day. I think just to start it off, we'll jump into our backgrounds real quick, and then we'll dive into the pitch. So name's Graham Fox, one of the co-founders of Societal. Background in engineering, started my career out as a mechanical engineer, quickly realized that startups and software development was the way. So I joined an industrial safety startup as employee number one as their lead product manager. There I managed internal software development teams, internal electrical engineering teams, built out a web application with supporting mobile applications. At that time, I got really big into Web3, where I actually joined Tyler, my co-founder, Tyler Gallatley, at a privacy project called Ruby Protocol, building the Polkadot ecosystem, where we're trying to implement functional encryption as a new privacy method against trusted execution environments and zero knowledge proofs. And then about 10 months ago, we left there to start up Societal, which we'll jump into here in a little bit.
Thanks, Graham. Hey, everyone. So Tyler Gallatley here. Started my career off in financial services, working in wealth management. Seeking my CFA, wanting to go the traditional banking route. Ended up doing a little bit of management consulting until I left to join my first startup as employee number one. It was called Kibo, essentially connected, integrated with the Just Eat, Store, Dash, Uber Eats of the world, and also connected to cloud and legacy days point of sale systems like Square and Micros. All in a SaaS-based middleware solution. I got into Y Combinator shortly after I joined back in 2018, or 2018, excuse me. And I was there for around 3 years, scaled the company out from 1 to 65 plus employees, multiple fundraising rounds, and I generally handled everything on the business operations side of that. Later on, I ended up leaving to join crypto Web3 full time. I've been following the space since 2016, 17. I was a power user in DeFi Summer, like I'm sure many of you are. And that's kind of where I met the other Ruby Protocol technical founders, and that's when Graham and I joined about, and then left a year later to start Societal. So I'll let Graham kick off the pitch.
Perfect. Thanks, Tyler. So Societal, the operating system for DAOs, empowering digitally native communities to organize, collaborate, and build society through. So even though DAOs have been around for quite a few years, they still face a number of challenges that prevent them from mass adoption. The first is the financial barriers to participate. There's a proposal on Uniswap DAO that costs $22,000 in gas fees. Now, this is a serious problem for the DAO members who have already purchased the token to be a part of the DAO. Now they have to actually go pay to participate in the DAO. With this financial barrier to participate, it has made us move back to our Web2 ways and rely on off-chain governance systems, where there's currently 7,100 communities using Snapshot for their governance system. This is a problem as it leaves too much power in the DAO admins when proposals aren't executed directly after they're approved. How to get past these problems? The fact of the matter is it's still hard and cumbersome to start and run your DAO. There's over 11 different tools you can use to start and run your DAO. The fact is, none of them actually integrate or work together. Let me introduce you to the solution, Societal, a highly specialized blockchain for the creation and management of DAOs, where we're going to build the application layer and the infrastructure layer. To combat those problems I stated in the previous slide, we'll do 4 main things. First, we'll offer free on-chain transactions for the DAO admins, charging the DAO a monthly subscription fee. Second, we'll offer built-in governance solutions. Third, full stack DAO management tooling. And finally, a DAO dApp marketplace, where we'll have third-party DAO toolings deploy on our infrastructure layer, on our smart contract layer, and then we can offer the best features to the DAOs. Now, to do this, we'll offer 4 main key products. The first is Create. So someone with no coding experience can come create a specialized DAO in minutes. Second is Decentralize, how to move from a centralized project to a decentralized one. The third is Transfer, how do you transfer from an existing network like Ethereum over to our network? And then finally, Manage, how do you manage all of your operations from one platform? A little bit of how this will look like for the DAO members. They'll be able to log into our application, see the main dashboard for the DAO, be able to switch over to a treasury page, a governance page where they can see proposals, create new proposals, a bounties page, a members page. And then finally, on the left-hand side, you'll have a discovery page where you can see all the DAOs on our network and on other networks, the DAO marketplace, and then finally, all the DAOs on your left-hand side. Now, to dive into our DAO app store a little bit further, this is what we like to call the Shopify App Store for DAO tooling. This is where we'll use our infrastructure layer and our blockchain and smart contract layer for third-party DAO toolings to deploy on our chain and integrate directly into our UI. We're looking at 3 main types of integrations from Web2 platforms like accounting software, contractor management, Doula for your DAO LLC, and actually deploy the smart contract of your DAO LLC on our chain. from DAO tuning perspective. So payroll systems, education systems, identity systems. And then finally, Web3 integration. Since we're building the Polkadot ecosystem, we'll actually use cross-chain communication to integrate to other blockchains and open up our DAOs to DEXs, identity services, and then finally privacy services. So here, I'll pass over the rest of the presentation to Tyler, where he'll walk you through the business side.
Thanks, Graham. So right now across Syndicate, DeepDAO, and SuperDAO, which are kind of the three major reporting platforms, there are over 25,000 reported DAOs and growing, and across those, they have around 11 billion in assets under management. So there are many, and that's not to say that's the full picture of the DAO landscape. Many of those close to the space understand that there are many thousands more that are simply just using a Discord and a multi-signature wallet to run their operations. So a lot of different use cases, for DAO frameworks, perhaps one of the most important milestones for the industry as a whole came in late 2021. And when Graham mentioned earlier, but the Wyoming DAO LLC came into effect essentially down in Wyoming. So Graham and I are part of the Illuminati Collective, which is an Ethereum-based DAO. Actually sit on the council there as well. And, they're one of the first known users of this DAO LLC structure. And the key benefit there for DAO members like Graham and myself, that we have actually zero legal liability for any action that the DAO takes. And of course, many analysts are thinking that the DAO market in general is going to be, growing tremendously in the next 7 to 10 years here. But the actual segment that we're targeting will be having $15 billion yearly DAO spend, total addressable market by the year 2030. So from a revenue model perspective, Society will take revenue in three separate ways, from on-chain transactions, a more traditional SaaS-based model, and, for lack of a better term, very similar to the Shopify App Store model, where it'll take a rev share for all dApps deploying on the marketplace. I just wanted to get a little bit into the SaaS model. So, obviously Web3 has been much chagrined for not having actual revenue models. We truly think that DAO platforms as a category are really productivity-based tools. And most productivity-based tools are based on a subscription model. So we'll be launching that out. And, the key benefit here for DAO members is that, DAO members will have zero gas fee transactions for any action or transactions they take on the platform. And the actual product itself will be paid for by the DAO and the DAO wallet itself. So quickly from a go-to-market strategy, we are building natively to the Polkadot ecosystem using the Substrate SDK. Not many people know this, but there are over 55 plus parachains building or launched or deployed in the Polkadot ecosystem. And that's kind of the first wave. The next wave will be all the different dApps that are actually building on these specific application-based chains. Secondly, so we have a full MVP deployed, that we deployed by the end of last year. And it is fully EVM compatible already. So we already have integrated a MetaMask or have MetaMask integration on our MVP there, and we will be targeting where the majority of DAOs currently are hosted as well on the EVM compatible networks. So from a competitive landscape perspective, we decided to spotlight two of our contemporaries, Dora Factory and SubDAO in the Polkadot ecosystem, along with two of our more direct competitors, which are based in EVM, so Syndicate and SuperDAO. The key takeaway here I just want you guys to see is that we are building out our own app chain. Like I mentioned, I have a fully shipped MVP. And the key benefit is that it will actually be able to control the fee structure on the platform, which will actually allow us to roll out that SaaS-based pricing I talked about earlier, gas-free transactions for DAO members, increasing user experience. And finally, we'll be launching the first to market DAO dApp store that Graham was mentioning earlier.
Hi, Tyler. Hi, Graham. Yeah, I have to stop you and, get you to wrap up because we're past 7 minutes.
Sounds good. I will just jump to the end then.
All right. Thank you so much. So we'll get the two judges on now to ask the questions.
Awesome. You want to go first, Sarah, or should I go?
As you like, but if you like, I can start. So thank you so much for your presentation. And I think it's an amazing idea. I really, really like what you're building. So, but maybe one thing, what about the topic of legal structure? What needs to be considered in the different countries? How do you handle that? And what about the regulations like coming up and the market is changing in that way? So maybe you can elaborate a little on that part.
Yeah, definitely. From a DAO perspective, we're focusing on incorporating or having the DAOs form legal entities within Wyoming, so the DAO LLC. So this is where we're looking to partner with another project like Doula, for example, like I was talking about, where they actually work with Wyoming and work with legislation to actually have those LLCs be formed, and then we can deploy the smart contract from those LLCs directly on our chain. So really looking to enable our DAOs to be legally incorporated if they want, when they get to that size and they're ready to take that measure, that next step.
Understand. Okay, cool. Thank you. Luis, you want to go next?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you very much for the pitch. I think it comes across very clear what you're doing and how you're doing it. One thing that is important to understand is that when you're developing DAO tooling, essentially you are not only targeting DAOs, right? Because any company that it has a decentralized layer might need some of those tools. And even Web2 companies that want to do stuff with Web3 by launching an NFT collection or anything might actually use some of that tooling as well. So probably the market could even be bigger. There's many people doing this at a pre-seed level today, because it has been going on for just few, I would say, months. But what do you think that really differentiates Societal? And also, why are you taking this layer one approach versus most teams just building dApps on top of Ethereum or EVM chains?
Definitely. Well, I think like you said right there, what really differentiates us is building that layer one or that layer two approach and building our own blockchain for this. You know, from our perspective, we're the only project out there that's building a DAO focused app chain. And by doing this, we're really be able to do like two main key benefits. You know, the first is that subscription based pricing. And by having that and eliminating the gas fees for the DAO members, we really want to increase that DAO participation rate. Because right now, you know, if you're looking to do on-chain transactions and on-chain governance on Ethereum or something, DAO governance contracts still are costing $3 per transaction, which is crazy when we're trying to build systems for a global audience and not just, you know, North American participants that might be able to afford that on those transaction fees. And then second is that DAO tooling app store. So really just having a platform and a smart contract layer where third-party DAO tooling can actually deploy on our chain, pick their own SaaS-based pricing model that they can offer and charge towards DAO, and actually find another revenue stream without having to launch their own token and have their own application running on these monolithic chains. You know, we really envision the future being a cross-chain ecosystem, a cross-chain future, using cross-chain communication to actually be able to integrate with this, because you get to be able to design your blockchains in a manner of that's specialized for DAO tooling or DAO products and governance, and not have the bloat of the rest of the products that are actually on your chain.
Awesome. Very clear. Thank you.
All right.
Maybe if we have
yeah, sure.
Do we have maybe, because I think there was no time for the last slide, something about your next steps. So maybe just in 1 or 2 sentences.
Yeah, I can quickly take that one. So I made a lot of progress, specifically since Q4. So next steps, like I mentioned, we just launched our MVP, which is full DAO creation of our app chain there, substrate base. We also have a couple click-through prototypes right now. So we over-allocated our pre-seed A rounds this past fall, essentially, and then now we have opened up kind of a pre-seed B round at a higher valuation. I just opened that up a few weeks ago, and right now we're raising 500,000 at a $12.5 million valuation, and around 10% full right now. So.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone, and thanks, Societal.